What's up, everybody? It's your girl Nia, the Video Gamer, and I will be doing an E3 recap with my homie Darius. Darius, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, as she said, my name is Darius. I have another channel in here on YouTube called Crystallis Kingdom, and basically I just do news and reaction stuff for, as of right now, Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3, and I hope to actually expand to other, Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games in general in the future. I just started a couple months ago, but my channel, I say, is pretty doing good, so if you're interested in going over there, again, it's Crystallis Kingdom, and I'm pretty sure there'll be some sort of like link in the description or something
Yeah.
if you want to check it out.
And for those of you guys who recognize his voice, that is Soxus11, who was in my last video game, her Rambles. I forgot what we were talking about. It was like a Nintendo Direct or something. Or was it
Yeah, it was a
the
Nintendo
video?
Direct.
Okay, because I didn't remember if it was that or the Video Game Awards or whatever. But yeah, this is his second time on my channel, so it's always a pleasure to have him. He has really good opinions, and he's the homie, so just give him a warm welcome. So, as you guys noticed from my last video, me and Shokio came on and we talked about just Nintendo's digital event as a whole. But Darius and myself are going to be talking about E3 2015 as a whole on the side of everybody, what everybody had to offer. And so we're just going to go down the line right now. And I'm going to go ahead and start with Bethesda. A lot of people weren't really checking for Bethesda on Sunday, but to a lot of people, Bethesda had one of the best showings at E3 for the whole week. And they went first, and it was their first time being on the big stage at E3. And for it to be their first time, I was actually very impressed. Although on a personal level, I don't really care a whole lot about Bethesda's games, but considering that was the first time they've taken the stage at E3, like the way that they just kind of gave us the information, the way that everything flowed was flawless. Um, and one of the things that did interest me from Bethesda's conference was Doom. I don't really care about Fallout and stuff, even though I acknowledge that a lot of people do care about all of those other Bethesda games. I really just care about Doom. Darius, did you get a chance to see the Bethesda conference?
Yeah, I actually watched the whole thing. I watched everything at E3 in general. But I wasn't really, I'm not really into Fallout at all. But what they showed for Fallout 4 was definitely cool.
Right.
Like the fact that I mean, going back to like when they first announced it before E3, I feel like that was a smart decision anyway, just because around E3 stuff starts to get, leaked and all that stuff. So, it wasn't obviously as good as it could have been just because they didn't like reveal it there. But what
Right.
they showed was definitely cool. Like I have seen some stuff with Fallout in the past, and there's a lot of new things. Like the customization in that game is just ridiculous, especially when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to like the guns and everything. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested in Fallout just because as of recently, I've been hearing a lot of good things about the series in general. But like, I'm more interested in Doom because I think the best thing I got out of that was, how familiar it looked like to the like the original one that came out all the way
Yeah.
a long time ago. Like
Yeah.
I feel like the best thing they did for that game, and I feel like a lot of developers could learn from them, is that they basically just upgraded and improved on,
The old Doom
what should
formula.
basically they basically improved on standards, which is the graphics, and obviously they improved some gameplay mechanics and all that stuff,
Right.
and they incorporated multiplayer. But basically, when you look at it, it looks very familiar to the pixelated like version of Doom, the first one. So like, I feel like that's what I think a lot of people were looking for in that game was just so they could get back to that type of
Yes.
gameplay. Basically, what made Doom, as popular as it was before. Not
Yeah.
basically having like a overcomplicated story, not shoving stuff down your throat in order for you to have to like basically, like I don't even think they really said that you need to use that the snap map thingy.
Mm.
It's basically you can make your own maps and everything, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to use, but at the same time, like you can just go through the story and like play
Right.
the core story if you wanted to.
Right. I think that they definitely did what I think most people should do with classic franchises. Like, you have to keep what makes classic franchise, because Doom was pretty much like the game that made shooters what they are today. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to get back to like what makes that game that like we all fell in love with like years and years ago, but at the same time like improve on it and make it modern and do, you know, all the things that you would expect to see in a game in this day and age. And I think that Doom nailed it. Like, I just saw it and it just looked awesome. Um so next, obviously on the next day, on Monday, it was Microsoft's turn to present, and I'm just really steadily becoming more and more impressed with Microsoft, especially since Phil Spencer has taken over. I feel that he legitimately cares about games, and he is trying to really like push that now with the Xbox One, because we already know like when what's his name? What was his name? God dang it.
It was Don Matrick.
That dude was about to run Xbox to the ground. Like, there was just so many poopy things that Microsoft was doing. They lost a lot of fans. A lot of fans jumped ship, and I ain't blame them. Like, they were trying to pull some bull crap. But ever since Phil Spencer stepped up and became the CEO of the Xbox division, he's been doing so many things. One thing that I noticed that they're doing now is they understand that they messed up, and they understand that a lot of people have jumped ship, basically, to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And as a result, they know that they pretty much lost a lot of, not really third party. They still get third party, but they're not the premier console for third party anymore. And as a result, they're really starting to step it up on the whole like console exclusive side. Something that I really noticed at not only last E3, but this E3 as well. There was a lot of games that I saw for Microsoft that it's like, wow, they're actually really trying to step it up. Like, even though they didn't really show a lot of like gameplay and stuff, they just showcased this is what we're working on. And I think that that was enough to kind of, I guess, kind of push people over to the edge. Like, man, Phil Spencer is really trying to make Xbox a gaming system again, not just an entertainment system, but a gaming system. But
in terms of what they showed for games, you know, the one thing that really stood out was that a lot of those games, a majority or like a good amount of those games are coming this year.
Yeah.
So like fall is going to be Microsoft. There is nothing coming out this fall from anyone else that's going to, you know, compete against Halo 5, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Forza 6.
Right.
Like they own that, you know, basically. Besides Fallout 4, there's nothing else that's really going to compete with it. So I feel like, you know, obviously, I think for sure they're going to sell more Xboxes in, you know, in maybe like consecutive months than Sony's going to sell PS4s.
Right.
But yeah, like in terms of what they showed, like I definitely think they were, you know, higher up. I think they should be in a lot of people's like higher up, at least the top 3 conferences at E3, because they showed they did, you know, over and over again. If you watched it, all you heard was like, you know, world premiere or like an exclusive or whatever. Like they really did try to focus. They really focused on stuff that's either coming first to Xbox or that's only coming to Xbox, and that was cool. I think one of the best things that was out of it, you know, besides like Gears 4 and like obviously the backwards compatibility, like I was really impressed by the controller that they showed. That controller, like all I really kept hearing about the controller was from, you know, more so the like I guess the
more advanced and technical gamers.
Yeah, like
they live for that stuff.
Like MLG players, and like not even just like, you know, fighting players, but like I was hearing a lot of things from people who love you know, like driving simulators, just like Forza 6, because like, you know, the default thing when people get a racing game is like they just go out and get a wheel or whatever. But the fact that you're able to remap buttons, you have all those attachments and everything, there's a reason why that controller costs $100 and something. I think it was like 115 or something.
It's like 150 or something like that.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people don't understand too about that price. Like, that's not just like a regular, like, just it's not like a regular nigga controller. Like, this is like a real nigga controller. Like, you actually trying to get some control over what's going on your screen right now, and that's the purpose. Like, that is one what's the word? It's not. It's like a luxury kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like a regular standard controller. And they're not trying to push it as a
Yeah,
standard controller.
it's completely optional.
Yeah. I
That's
won't be buying
basically
it because
about
I
it.
ain't about that life, that
Yeah, I'm
$150
not.
life. But there's
Yeah, I'm
people
not.
who
It's one of
are.
those. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, that's definitely cool for the people who've been looking out for that. Because I know there's a lot of people who like whenever a new system comes out or whatever, or there's a certain game that they need, they don't want to have to go out and buy, say like a fighting stick or another like wheel or whatever. But they
Hmm.
kind of have to because if they want to be as good as they want to be, they need to go out and get that. But if you just get this controller, you could basically play anything you want
Yeah.
and not have to switch.
Yeah, that was one thing, and I know there was another controller before Microsoft actually made their own that lets you remap and things like that. So I just kind of think that was Microsoft's way of kind of just trying to get into that market. But
Yeah.
overall, like as far as like the actual games are concerned, I mean, there's a lot of people that were like just not particularly interested in like the games that they showed. I mean, that's just opinion based, but from what I saw, Halo 5, I was already sold on that game. I just hope that it delivers when it actually comes out. Because I
Yeah.
actually just ordered an Xbox, almost, not specifically, but almost for Halo 5 because I know that's coming. Um, and you know, like the makers of freaking Metroid Prime, like the old people that used to work at Retro back in the day, and some other developers are working on that new IP that they have coming out called Recore. Of course,
Yeah.
backwards compatibility on Xbox, like that's gonna be a really big thing. And
Hmm.
like it's crazy because like when the engineer who was the one working on compatibility for the Xbox One, he came out and was like, "Yo, the Xbox One wasn't built with backwards compatibility in mind, but like we got our biggest, brightest engineers to come and work on this," and like that speaks volumes, like because a lot of people were like wanting backwards compatibility because the Xbox 360 has a lot of good games. People want to play them on their next gen system. Of course, it's not a deal breaker if you have a console that doesn't have backwards compatibility, but it was definitely one of the most, I guess, one of the most eye opening things at their conference to know that they are actually now listening to their fans when like Don Matrick and all of them weren't before, you know?
Yeah, I feel like Phil Spencer is really coming from the side of, he's coming from the side of Microsoft that really is into gaming, so he kind of understands more so what the gamer wants. Like the fact
Yeah,
that Don Matrick actually just switched companies after that really just shows that he's just in it for the business, not really. He doesn't love, having to do. He didn't really love having to do stuff for, like the Xbox side of
right.
Microsoft and. I think we were saying it in Wii U Mad before or whatever. Basically, it was mentioning Shuhei Yoshida and like how he's one of the probably the most liked figures in gaming
Because
because
they
he's
come from
so
gaming backgrounds. Him and
yeah.
Phil Spencer do.
Yeah, they're both people who like understand both sides of business and where the consumer is coming from when it comes to gaming. So like they basically take what we want and and even when it doesn't even come down to like producing hardware or software, like they're just very interactive with like people on social media too. Like if you tweet at them, they're gonna either reply or like favorite it.
Right.
So like yeah, I'm it definitely is. Microsoft definitely is turning the boat around completely.
Yeah.
Um, the fact that they basically, basically the Connect is dead now. Um, it speaks volumes to it because
Yeah.
that was part of the gaming side of the Xbox One, but at the same time they realized that nobody really wants to use it.
Right.
So they were
So they
just
took
like,
it away.
yeah, they were basically like, we get this could be used in games, but we also see that there's more people that would be willing to get an Xbox One, but just don't want the Kinect, and the Kinect is raising the price, so we're just gonna take it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're being real smart. Very
Yeah,
smart. And I'm glad that they're finally like getting back in there and like actually trying to be for the gamer because like I was already kind of just like I never really looked at Microsoft to be honest with you. Like they have always been kind of like I always acknowledged that they were there, but I never really felt the need to have like an Xbox in my house. But now it's
yeah,
getting to the point where it's like, whoa, maybe I should be looking a little bit closer at what Microsoft has going on right now because they seem like they're really trying to get my attention as a gamer, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, and of course, you know, they had some other games and stuff that I like Gigantic. Like, I know that's probably going to be a free to play game, but I like the style and all that stuff. So hopefully they could manage to actually make it decent. And you know, Rare is actually making a new IP, which is something that people always wanted for Rare. Like, why are you making all those Connect games? Like, why won't you make a
Yeah,
real game? And they're actually giving Rare a real game, the Sea of Thieves game. It might not be
yeah,
good, but it's the first step to getting
yeah.
Rare
I
into
mean,
actually making a freaking game, a
yeah.
real game.
I think the one thing that I really took out of this conference and a lot of other people's conferences too is just that that they're starting to delve into the way they're basically delving into the idea that games can look different. Like
Yeah,
I would not expect something like Recore coming from Microsoft,
right.
especially if they got somebody like Inafune on it. Like that is
Yes,
ridiculous. Like I did not see that
yes.
coming
I
at all.
forgot Inafune. Inafune is working on that too.
Yeah, so like the fact that they pulled him in and they have something like this, like I was expecting something like that from Ubisoft or something because they're
Right,
more of the ones who they mix kind of like, the standard hardcore metal type thing with the idea of,
right.
having a two-person system, like being I feel like that game's obviously gonna have some type of emotion in it just because, it's the fact that it's like two people that work together or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, I really didn't expect stuff like that
From Microsoft.
from them, and then on top of Rare having, their type of games. I did hear a lot of people saying like that's not, Rare's type of games or whatever, but like it's still a Rare game, and we haven't really
Right.
seen that much of it, so that could
Right.
obviously change. But like, yeah, I think the best thing that came out of the conference is their conference this year compared to the last years and the years before that. Just they had a lot of variety to it,
Right.
and I guess those were the two main things that a lot of people got was just they have variety now, and
Variety.
they're still listening to us.
And
So
they're actually trying to differentiate themselves from Sony now.
yeah, so that's another thing too. Is just that like it's good to have competition. So the fact that they're
Right.
getting back on their game is
Hmm.
definitely good for everybody because that's
Right.
gonna push Sony. Like they're in front now, but like they gotta watch out because they're doing stuff that the PS4 doesn't have.
Right. And then, and going back to the whole thing about Rare, how everybody's talking about how it doesn't look like a typical Rare game. People got to remember that the people that we loved from Rare back in the day, they're at Platonic now. This is a
Yeah,
completely new Rare. Like, let new Rare, you know, prove themselves. Let new Rare actually try to come up and become, you know, a respected name again in the industry. You know, I think that they deserve that opportunity now that Microsoft is actually giving them the time to shine and make their own project that's theirs and not no
yeah,
Connect Sports bullcrap. You know,
yeah.
so
I I just think it's good that they realized, obviously it wasn't on their own, but from the gamers that, the
right,
Xbox is for gaming. You keep all that other stuff for your other
secondary.
part of Microsoft, like
Hmm.
your PCs and all that other stuff. You keep that over there, and the Xbox is for gaming. So like,
Yeah.
continue to do that.
I'm just happy. Like Phil Spencer is the person that Microsoft definitely needed. Like seriously.
Yeah,
But okay, let's see. Moving on to EA. Now, a lot of people actually were like talking bad about EA, and to me, I think that EA had one of the better conferences. And I even think that even coming from EA, they had a lot of versatility. Like it seems like E3 2015 was like the year that developers wanted to step up and prove to gamers like, look, we can do X, Y, and Z, and they did it. Like
yeah,
they did it. So
hmm
EA they showed like Plants vs Zombies got Garden Warfare 2. They officially announced Mass Effect 4, which is Mass Effect Andromeda. A heart wrenching, very emotional Unravel reveal. Oh my god! Like I almost
yeah.
cried. I almost
That g-
cried.
that game looks so good. Like you would not expect that out of them. That's
Yes.
another game where you're like, that's from them. Like that
Mm-hmm.
looks like another Ubisoft game.
Yep. And like the dude, the creator of Unravel, he was just so humane, I guess. That's the
Yeah,
best way to say it. He was so sincere and you could tell that this is a project that he just put his blood, sweat, and tears into. Like, I almost cried listening to this man talk on stage. I'm just like, yo. And people were laughing at him, like, oh, look, he's all nervous, blah, blah, blah. But no, that is passion. And that's what gaming is about. Like, people who actually make things that they love and they hope that other people love too. Something that is interactive. Like, to me, that's what gaming is about. So,
Yeah,
like,
I feel like more so than anything, like I get more of the passion thing from like the from what's their name? Hello Games, the people that
yeah,
make
they
that are
have that
making No
too.
Man's Sky.
Yeah.
I feel like I more so from, you know, the guy who unveiled Unravel and all that stuff. I feel like it was just so much so that he's not one of the bigger people at EA that make the big franchises for them.
Right.
He was like, you know, I just want to make this game and see how it goes. And then like EA was like, oh, okay, well, we can show that E3. And I'm pretty sure he was like, are you serious? And like he's one of those developers of people at that company who are just kind of in the shadows that just really do their own sort of thing. So the fact that he was able to go out there and tell his story about it was really more so like a new experience for him. So
Yeah.
like I feel like more so than anything, it was just him, you know, being like grateful that he was able to go up there and explain to everyone why they should buy this game from EA,
Right.
and like explain how the story came about and everything. And I'm glad they spent that much time, you know,
I'm
talking
glad
about
too.
it.
Yeah. Because, you know, a lot of people get so caught up in hating EA because, you know, the big wigs on top are some assholes. But that just goes to show that even though the big wigs up top, like, you know, it really shows the correlation between the developers and the publisher. Like, the
Yeah.
publishers are assholes. They just trying to get their money. But then you have
Yeah.
the developers, like the guy who created Unravel, that really do have a passion for game making. And, like, it was very evident in that section of their conference. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a highlight to me for all of E3. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that was
just gonna keep
definitely
it
like
real.
a lot of people. It's not a minority thought too. Like a lot of people were like that game looks. I think it's mostly because it's from EA. Like the fact that, you know, you have such like high quality games in the sense that, you know, the amount of money they put into their games. The fact that a game like that looks kind of like an indie game is coming out of like EA is it's very interesting. It's especially for the people who mainly game on like with EA stuff. They're
Right.
like, oh, this is cool. So like if it's coming out of EA, it must be, you know, good enough for them to like show it at E3 and all that stuff.
Right. Yep. And they also showed Mirror's Edge too, which that's gonna be dope. Like, yeah, that's gonna be hot.
I think Mirror's Edge and Mass Effect 3 was just like that, and Star Wars Battlefront. A lot of people were just like,
Oh my God, Star Wars.
it's one of those. There, it's in that spot. Those games are in that spot. Is like, more so like, yeah, we already know these games are gonna be good. So
Right.
I just want to get it. Like people are already sold on it, so
Right.
they don't really need to know that much more about it.
Right. It's crazy because so many people were so skeptical about Star Wars Battlefront because all of those shenanigans are like surrounding it. But as soon as
Yeah.
they showed, and it was actual gameplay, so
Yep.
as soon as they showed gameplay, everybody just kind of flipped out and did a 180. Like, nope, get this day one. Like, that game looks so awesome. Like, a person like me who doesn't even care about the Star Wars universe at all was like, you know what? That looks pretty hot. I can't
Yeah,
even lie.
that's the thing. Like I don't even really like Star Wars like that. I'm not a follower of that series, but the fact that they were able to I feel like it's more so happening now with this too. Like developers are really trying to they know the fact that, you know, they know that shooters are the thing and have been for a while. So like they're trying to switch it up. And like I feel like even if you just add something like Star Wars onto it and add those certain things that are iconic about Star Wars and you add it into a shooter, people are gonna want it. Like I just think it was dope how they were showing, you know, different people having their specific jobs. Like how one of them was in a walker, the big walker thing, and then
Yeah,
another
that
one
was
was in a
hot.
ship. I think one of the best things that they showed, I think from both times they showed it once at Sony's conference and then once at EA. I think the thing from EA's conference that I liked the most was how the ship went in between the walker's legs and was
That
following other
was
ships trying to shoot him. I was like, yo,
Yes. Like,
that's straight out of a movie,
bro,
but I'm
like
controlling it.
the scale of that game is insane. Like, that was
Yeah,
one of the things
I
that
think
just really
that's
blew me out the water.
I think that's it. I think that was the main reason why everybody was like, "This game is awesome," is because like you see stuff like that in the movies. Like you would only think you could get angles like that and stuff like that happen in a movie, but it's
Yep.
like no, you can actually control that happening. Like he didn't have to go through his legs. He could have went over it. He could have went around it. He went
Mm-hmm.
through it, and only because he was able to do it in that split second. If he did it a different time, he would have crashed, and
Yep.
the other team would have gotten that point. And I think that the other thing that they showed at Sony's was like them going through the canyon and stuff. Like I see that so much in the Star Wars movies, but like
Yep.
you're able to actually do that in the game. Like
Yep.
I
This
think
is
that was
the
definitely a highlight
this is the
for
stuff
that
that gamers,
conference.
yeah, like this is the stuff that gamers have been wanting to do for years. It's like, yo, I could actually do that now. Hype.
Exactly. That's the difference between movies and games. Like I'm actually able to control that, and it's
Yeah.
multiplayer, so you could talk to other people. You're like, all right, you go over there. I'm gonna take this ship and try to get him out. Watch out for this. I'm gonna have to go through his legs. I'm gonna have to go. You have to watch out for that group coming over. It's just dope. That game
Yeah.
is nice. I might have to break down and actually get it, even though there's no story mode to it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I might have to go ahead and do the thing, man. I don't know.
It was the same reaction for that Need for Speed.
Hmm.
Nobody was talking about that game, but that Need for Speed looks so nice.
Going
Like
back
it's
to its
this
roots.
yes, and the like just the fact that like when you drift around corners, the camera angle changes and all that stuff. I was like, this needs to come out soon. Like I've been waiting for Need for Speed to get back to what it's supposed to be for a
Yeah.
long time.
Hmm.
And the fact that you're able to like do so much stuff that even goes back to like, kind of like like you see a lot of inspirations from Fast and Furious in that game.
Yeah.
Like I think it was Underground when Underground came out, that had a direct influence on what the future Fast and Furious movies were about.
Right.
So like the fact that they're bringing all that stuff back and then at the same time it's going to their roots is just like that game that's definitely on my list too.
Yeah, like I know, like one of my homegirls, shout outs to Crunk Girl 711. I pretty much shout her out in like almost every video. But like she's a fan of arcade racers. So like
Yes.
her and I were covering EA. We covered EA, Ubisoft, and Sony together for E3 on our website, sheattack.com. Go check it out. Wink wink. But she was freaking out. She was like, "Yes, like this is what Need for Speed is about. Like, yes, let's go." And I was like,
Yes, and
"Yo."
I think one of the best things about it is that they're going back to like the music. Like the music is a big part in games now,
Hmm.
and like that was the best part about Underground was the music. They're going back to like that whole majority of the soundtrack being hip hop
Right.
and like rap and all that stuff.
She
And a lot of
said
people
that
don't
too. She said
yeah,
that too.
a lot of people don't like that genre, but like you can't say that Underground was as good as it was, or as it could have been as good as it was without the hip hop in it. Like
Hmm.
no, that's the whole vibe of that game was like the gritty, underground sort of like it was really about like criminals versus everyone else and like that
Hmm.
whole underground scene and like that music matches that theme. So
Hmm.
I'm glad they went back to that and brought a whole bunch of stuff back.
That's awesome, yo. That is awesome. But let's go ahead and talk about Ubisoft. I mean, Ubisoft had a pretty decent showing.
Hmm.
One thing that I've really noticed about Ubisoft this year is that they have acknowledged that people were mad at them for making broken ass games.
Yep.
And one thing, did you notice, Darius? They are now showing actual gameplay and not that pre-rendered like vertical slice
Yeah, I
bullcrap. Did you
mean,
notice that?
yeah, I mean, in terms of Ubisoft, I don't know, me personally, I never felt like they lacked gameplay. I always felt like they had like, a good balance,
Hmm.
every now and then of them showing like, obviously some of the games they announced aren't finished, so they
Right.
really can't show gameplay. But like, I feel like more this year, more so than anything, they really showed gameplay. I think more so though, just because I mean, a lot of the games that they really went over this year, we kind of already
Knew
seen
about, yeah.
before, like the Division,
Right.
like that's been at like three E3s already, like maybe
Right.
three or four, and like it's like we get it,
But the
it's
thing
coming.
about it, right? But the thing about it though is it looks like factual, actual gameplay, and not like how they were
Yeah,
trying to pull the okey doke in previous years, where they would be showing like these extra high quality textures and things
yeah,
like that. But then when the game released, it just looked like a regular old game. I think they're trying to get away from that and show truthful images of these games and focus more on, hey, this is a great game, regardless of us trying to fluff it up to make it seem like something that it's not. That's basically
yeah,
what I
yeah.
got from them.
I think everybody was already looking forward to the division, but like when
Mm-hmm.
they really showed what you could do in that game, like you could
Hot.
basically like betray everyone in your party you have right now.
Hot fire. If we
I
play that
was
game
like, I
together,
was
I
like,
will
damn.
betray you.
That's that's what everybody was talking about. They was like, so if we get this game, you're not gonna like do that, are you? And it was like, nah, we're not gonna do it. But like, you never know.
You
Like
never
somebody
know.
could do that and just take all your shit. Like they could take everything that you have or had in the past and just run off with it.
Yo,
That's like, it's so dope.
I was in awe because that was not a part of what we had seen in previous years. So it's like, even though it's the same old stuff, we knew the division was coming. That was a new aspect of the game we hadn't seen before. So like
Yeah.
when I actually saw a person go rogue and like body their team, like they were just working together and they bodied their whole team, I was like, yo, what is this right
That's
now?
that's legitimately going to mess up people's friendships because you know you're gonna play that game with your friends, and then
That
like you do that one night, you come back to school or work the next day, and niggas ain't gonna be talking to you.
that's
They're gonna be
gonna
like,
be
"Why did you do that?"
that's gonna be some true salt inducing like gameplay right there. Like, yo.
Yeah, that game is nice.
Like the division, it seems like one of those kind of games. Like it's really trying to push the boundaries of co-op games because like now you can go rogue. Like that's a game changer. I don't care what nobody says. Like that is just I've never
Yeah,
seen anything like that before.
it's literally like if you're mad at someone. Like you haven't been talking to them, you could play that game with them and just straight mess them up and take all of their stuff. Like that's the ultimate get back.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But how do you feel about like that Ghost Recon game? Like that's a
Um,
drastic turn from other Ghost Recons, I think.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was like Army or two or Army of
Yeah,
Two or
it's
something
like
like
what
that,
is
and then
that?
they like showed it off. Like I was like, wow, and then they showed like you could the replayability in that game. I know is gonna be ridiculous because
Mm,
they showed the same mission, but you can go about it in four different ways
right.
and probably get different stuff from it, and like. Just Ubisoft like history of having like if you play the games they have a lot of like content in it,
Mm,
whether or not the graphics or whatever is like what they showed, they have a lot of content in the game. So like the
right.
fact that they have four different ways of playing different options in different missions, and it's going to be online, so
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be online with your friends doing all those missions for hours. That's definitely a game that a lot of people are going to do, especially because of the title of it.
Right.
That's definitely pulling people in.
Like that looks like like I could like if you would have showed me that without showing me the title, I could not tell you that's a Ghost Recon game.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Another game I was really like interested in was For Honor.
I knew you were
Like a
about to
lot of
say that.
yeah, that game you don't that's another game that people haven't seen, that type of game either ever or in a long time. Like it's a multiplayer game where you actually need to, you have to know what you're doing in terms of the sword play.
Right.
Like you need to know when to, defend, when to actually attack, when to do like melee moves in general. Like that game is another one that people just haven't really seen before
Yeah.
or haven't seen in a long time. And just the fact that it's one of those games that's like that, a lot of people are interested in it.
Yeah. I admit, I don't know, when I first saw it I was like, okay, this is another medieval game. But
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe I have to go and look at it some more, but it didn't really wow me at first. Maybe if I see some more gameplay over the years or whenever it comes out, like until it comes out, maybe it'll kind of sell me, but I can
yeah.
see why people would be interested in that, like the sword play and things like that. Like
Hmm.
that's something that, like you said, we don't really see. A lot of the time it's just like, hey, let's shoot niggas up, like slash people up. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? It's not really like
yeah.
technical, and you're focusing on the actual combat itself. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
another
So
yeah, another game I really wanted, like, and it came out of nowhere was Trackmania. Like they actually showed,
Trackmania.
yeah, they showed it. They showed that game before. I don't know
Hmm.
when, but apparently this is like a different version of it, and like I was like, damn, that game looks dope. Like obviously like
yeah.
we've been over this. I'm a sucker for like arcade races. I prefer them way much, like too much probably to a fact that I prefer them over, like simulators.
Right.
But like that game is just like the fact that you can, it's almost like zero gravity without having zero gravity. I think that's the best thing about it, is that like it all relies on the speed. So like you can race upside down and up walls, but you need to be able to actually build up your speed, and like they said, like the tracks can be like randomly generated and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, so that's another game that came out of Ubisoft that I was really looking forward to. I am disappointed that they did not talk about Watch Dogs 2. I wanted to see that so much, like not because of the fact that I was wowed about Watch Dogs, the first one, but because of the fact that they would be able to improve on what they didn't do last time. I was really looking forward to like seeing if they were going to show that, but they didn't. So hopefully next time they will.
Another game that I thought looked good, but just to go back to Trackmania, like that reminds me of something that I would really enjoy as a kid. Because remember, like when like we were kids, like Hot Wheels was like that crap. Like, you had to collect every freaking Hot Wheel figure. Like it was the jam back in the day. Yeah. So Trackmania basically reminds me of like a video game version of Hot Wheels. Like that's the first thing
it's a game that just doesn't take itself too seriously and you can have fun with. So. Yeah, I mean the other dope part about it is that like it actually has cars that you would see like in real life though.
That's true.
So like the tracks are something you would never see, but like the cars are like circuit races that you actually see in real life.
Right, that's true. That's true. But like I also saw Rainbow Six, which they showed last year, but it just looks good. It still looks good. Yeah. So and it's interesting that they actually got Angela Bassett to like voice.
I was about to say. I was like, I know her. I was like, I know that face. I don't know her name. Like, I'm black. I should know this. I should know her name. She's been in so many movies. Yeah. But when they finally brought her, I was like, okay, yeah, that's her.
That's crazy. Like, I never would have thought that I would see her in a game.
Yeah, just the fact that it's her. Like, I was like, really? I was like, okay.
Because I mean I love her, like she's like one of my favorite actresses. But yeah, Ubisoft they had some good games shown. I don't really have any complaints at all from pretty much anybody except for one, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But let's go ahead and delve into Sony. So Sony really knocked it out of the park, and like usually I'm bored to tears. I'm not gonna lie. Like when they do their press conference, I am usually almost asleep. Because they tend to have pacing problems, but this year their pacing was on point, on top of their announcements.
Yep. It was definitely better than last year. Yeah. Like last year was like meh. Especially because they were talking so much about like TV stuff. Like that was the problem with Microsoft the year before last year, was that they talked so much about things that aren't video games. Right. And this year was just like they did what we wanted them to do and more. More so, it was surprises. Like they fulfilled everybody's dream with The Last Guardian, and then they came out with, what was it after that? What did they talk about after The Last Guardian?
They just basically revealed it, just basically showing that it's not vaporware.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how anybody like before E3 this year thought that game was dead, because I mean on multiple accounts they've said that this game is still in development.
I've been trying to tell people too.
Yeah, like I don't get it. Like they said multiple times, like probably once per year for the last like 5 years, that the game is still in development. But yeah, I mean that game, I mean I've already been sold on it ever since I played Ico and Shadow of Colossus, so I was just waiting for it to come out. It's just good that to actually see it. Like I don't even really think we saw gameplay when they revealed it. So, the fact that we're seeing gameplay and all that is good. Right. What else did they show after that? Did they show Horizon after that, or
after The Last Guardian?
Yeah.
I don't know if they showed Horizon right after that or sometime after. I don't really remember what they showed.
I think it was right after, because they started to show all like the third party stuff afterwards. They showed it in a clump. So like Horizon was the game that surprised me the most.
And from Guerrilla Games at that.
Yes. Out of E3, that was probably the game of E3. Just because it came out of nowhere. Like a lot of people, some people kind of like saw or knew some stuff about the game, but we had no idea what it was. Some people knew that it would be like a leveling system. It would be an RPG coming out of the West. But like it was another game that was just like, there is still so much room in gaming for innovation and stuff that we have not seen before. Like,
that's how I felt.
I think this game is the first post-apocalyptic game. Like, it's literally talking about basically the revitalization of humanity after, the events of an apocalypse is going on.
Right.
So it's like, that's kind of cool because you're really seeing basically the Earth at, basically the beginning of humanity on Earth over again, except you have the aspect of robots and all of that stuff, and they're not even the thing is that the robots aren't even really coming after humanity. It's like they're coexisting with them, and it's like, some of them, in the trailer they kind of did say like, some of them are coming after us or whatever, but for the most part they're literally just like animals. Like, they're just in the wild, and you need to find a way to sort of build your civilization up, or whatever tribe you're in, by hunting, which is basically what they did earlier on in like caveman days.
I'm gonna love that so much.
It's like, it's basically caveman days with like technology, which is so dope.
Yeah, like one of the things that really stood out to me is like how you said, like, that just goes to show that not everything has yet to be seen in gaming. Like, we already think that, where there's so many genres that have been touched upon, like, what else can we do? And then you see games like Horizon, so it's like, it just it's kind of telling that even though the 8th generation has started off really rough, like, I could attest to that. Like, I think the 8th generation has been complete, like, trash. Like, I mean, there's been some gems, but it's been a lot of trash too. But it's like, Horizon is one of those kind of games that you look at and you're like, okay, now this is a generation defining type of like game right now. Like, this is the realm of like, when we go into 9th generation and like generations of beyond, like when we think about generation defining games, Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be within that list.
Yeah, and like, in the fact that they've been working on this game for about 4 years, ever since they finished Killzone 3, and they're not even done yet. Like, so if this game comes out next year or maybe the year after that, it's going to be a quality game. Yeah, and like, sure. If anyone played Shadowfall and you looked at Horizon, like, you see those games rubbing up on each other. Like, Killzone, for how serious it was extremely colorful and vibrant. And like, for like, sometimes when I was looking at the Horizon trailer, I could have swore I saw some buildings that were the same in Killzone. That kind of like ties those two games together. It's like, does this take place somewhere? Obviously it doesn't, because Killzone was on like a different planet or whatever. Spoilers, sorry. But yeah, like, that game is just so unique. It's the best when we see a new IP that automatically grabs people.
Yeah, that's so, like, wow. Like you said earlier before, it's like, we're finally starting to get back in a mode where people can still make these grand games, like these games that can capture, like, I guess a more, like, expert type of crowd, like expert gamers, and, like, have different unique takes on, like, genres or vibrant colors, and, like, actually be imaginative, so, like,
I think that's the one thing that Sony did well in the conference, was that they had surprises and they had like fulfillments.
Right.
Like, the next thing obviously was Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Right.
And that did so much for Sony and Square Enix. It's not even funny.
Because people have been asking for a remake for that.
Yes, like literally, Square Enix's stock went up after they showed that. It went up by a ridiculous amount. And like, the best thing about that Final Fantasy VII Remake is that it's grabbing people who've never even played the original. Like there's so many people who are like, I've never even played Final Fantasy VII, but I'm definitely willing to play this remake just because I don't want to, I would like to play Final Fantasy VII, but either I don't own a PS1 or I don't want to have to like, go back to that game and play it with such like dated graphics and all that stuff.
Right.
So like it's a win-win situation.
But they said that the remake is supposed to have some new elements too, though. It's not going to be a straight
that's the
copy
other
and paste.
thing. Like, it's gonna have like the graphic of like say 15 or whatever, which the graphics on that game were ridiculous. And then like it's also gonna have some story additions and some gameplay additions. So like that also gives people who've played 7 over and over again, the incentive to go out and buy it again and be like, this is definitely something I'm going to play over and over again. And like that was just like, that was like a finally moment for like a lot of gamers, especially the people who played it in the past. Like it was just so nice seeing that world like Midgar in such like good graphics and seeing Cloud and seeing all the other surrounding civilians and like basically better graphics than when they made Advent Children the movie. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight of Sony's conference. That definitely gave them so many points for people who have been asking for that.
Right. Yeah, another thing that a lot of people were excited for is like Shenmue 3. Like the dude came on stage and announced the Kickstarter. I mean, I think that was an interesting thing to do, but I mean, they went back and they said why they did it like that after E3, because at first I was kind of puzzled, like why wouldn't Sony just fund it? But
yeah, I feel like it was another one of those moments where Inafune came out and was like, "Yo, I want to make Mighty Number 9," but you guys know my history. You know how much I've wanted to make this game for you, but just like Capcom has not given me the opportunity to. They haven't been really helpful for it, so I'm kind of relying on you guys to do this, and it was quickly funded. And the same thing with Shenmue. The guy was basically like, Sega did not want to help me out with this, and they kind of can't now. So if you guys are willing to like, do it, you can basically, you can have this if you want it enough. And they definitely did. So I'm glad that game's coming out. I haven't played Shenmue in like years. I played it on the Dreamcast when I was like probably like, I don't know, 9. So I really don't even remember, the other games that well. So I'll probably have to go back and play those games again to really see why a lot of people, were so excited for it. But like, I was just excited in the sense that, they were like, we're going to give this to the people who have been like asking for it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to announce a Kickstarter, the best way to do it is at E3. Because that mug was funded in like a day, probably a couple of hours.
It was funded in, I think it said 12 hours.
Insane.
And the base goal was $2 million.
Yep, that's crazy. That's crazy. And of course they showed Uncharted, which looks freaking amazing.
Oh man. You know what? Honestly, like after this E3, I don't even want to see any more of that game. I just want it to come out.
Well, it's coming out in March, isn't it?
They said that it'll come out by the end of March, so it could come out anywhere from either the beginning of January to the end of March. So yeah, that's basically the time frame for it. But like that game is just like it's good when you see an iteration of a game still doing new things.
Right.
I remember back at the PlayStation experience when they showed off gameplay for Uncharted 4 for the first time. Like, it was just reassuring to see that not only did that level have like this concept of them trying to incorporate stuff from multiplayer into single player, in a sense that you're able to do one objective in so many different ways and you're able to go on different routes. But like, it was good that is being implemented into not just like the jungle level that they showed us, but basically every single other level that they showed. And like, there was so much I got from that gameplay, just like the amount of detail in that game, like the fact that you can't just stay behind cover for like 2 minutes even, like people were shooting at him and the environment that he was hiding around was just breaking down because people was like shooting at him and like he's like,
Right.
okay, I gotta move. And then like I think one of the best things I got of it was like this part where Drake was like taking cover behind these bags of sand and they were shooting at the sand and like the sand was like slowly pouring out of the bag and the
Right.
bag was like getting shorter. I was like,
That
the
attention
amount
to
of
detail.
the amount of detail in this game is dumb. Like it's dumb. It's dumb good.
Yeah.
That's how much detail is in this game, and like you can finally drive a car now, which is like something you thought they would add a long time ago. But like that scene where they were driving the car was like it was cool too because he was taking routes that you didn't have to take. He was just taking ridiculous routes, basically to show what you can do in the game and all that stuff. But
That game is gonna be crazy, and we get to play
yeah,
the beta this year.
yes. Yes, I cannot wait. And if it's anything like the Uncharted 3 beta, it's not even going to be close to what the full online is going to be like. Because I played the 3 beta, like obviously before 3 came out, and that was fun as hell. But like when you get the full multiplayer, it's completely different. Not in the sense as that like it's not what you got before, but there's so much more to it that
Right.
you end up playing it for months and months and months. So yeah, I mean, all I know about Uncharted is that they had like they had an even like bigger demo like behind closed doors, and they said there's way more to that one part of that game that they didn't even show, and like that they showed in the press conference. So that's all. That's another game where I'm just like, okay, I'm already sold on it. I need it, so just hurry up with it.
Yeah, that game is gonna be crazy. Like that's gonna be crazy. All right, so next on our list is Nintendo. So I know that me and Shoki already kind of ranted about Nintendo, but I'm actually gonna try and like look at the silver lining.
Yeah,
So first off, like they showed the whole Muppet thing, which was really cool. Like the whole intro that they did, like when they had like Puppet Owada, Reggie, and Miyamoto, and they were like walking down like the corridor to that one song from 3D World.
that
What's the
shit was
name of
so
that
funny.
song? Um, Bowser's Lava Keep. That first of all, that song is the jam. Like that's one of my favorite songs from 3D World. And like they were coming down the corridor, like Miyamoto was coming out of his little pipe because he's so quirky and crazy. So like
Yeah.
that really did that was like his personality in a nutshell.
It
But
was
like
so misleading.
it was so misleading because I thought they were about to drop the bombs. They bombed all right. But the one thing that I can take out of that is that Star Fox looks freaking awesome. Like I see a lot of
Mhm.
people hating on Star Fox because the graphics aren't what they want, but to me, I feel that because Star Fox is trying to harken back to the olden days, and it is essentially a reboot. They said in the digital event that it was like a reimagining of the Star Fox series, and for that reason, I will give the graphics a pass because that's pretty much going back to like to Star Fox the Super Nintendo version, Star Fox 2, which never was released, which this game looks to be based a lot off of Star Fox
Yeah.
2 and Star Fox 64. Like I love the different vehicle types that are gonna
Yeah.
be in Star Fox Zero, and it adds a lot of variety. Like I would have liked it to be like Assault, where Fox and the team actually get out of their ship and they go and do whatever. But
Yeah.
this will work, and my thing is, if Star Fox Zero is just Star Fox going back to its roots, if it's successful, then maybe the next Star Fox game we will see, a game kind of push the limits like Assault did, and you have all these different, gameplay types and things like that. But I have no problem at all with it going back to its arcadey roots.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad that they actually got platinum on the game because
Yeah.
they were like, I really want to work on. They were like, we really want to work on this game,
Right.
and I feel like a lot of the coolest things we saw from what they showed us is because of platinum. Like I know
Right.
for a fact that the whole change in the vehicle thing on the fly,
That
and
was dope.
being able to actually defeat bosses in multiple ways,
Dude.
that is cool. Like
And turning your R-Wing into a walker, like,
yeah,
that was dope.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's not from Nintendo. That's not
No,
from
but
Nintendo at
it
all.
is from Nintendo because that was from Star Fox 2. In Star Fox 2, you could turn into a walker.
Yeah, you could, but like in terms of like having to like, all right, say for example, like I don't know if they showed it during the digital event or was it the treehouse event. Basically, I think it was probably the second boss that they showed off where you could either hit all of the targets on the outside or
Mm-hmm.
you could destroy a part of you could destroy a part of the fortress and then actually fly into it
Right.
and then destroy the core if you know went into the walker mode or whatever.
You
Like
know,
that's a lot of stuff that I
right,
see from like platinum's games, and like I could definitely see the inspiration and like how
right.
they put that in the game.
Yeah, because in the treehouse, they even said that, like, depending on how you defeat the boss, you'll get either a mission complete or a mission accomplished. And they do certain things. I don't know if they unlock maybe like a different route. Like, you know, like how
Yeah,
in Star Fox 64, depending on how you beat the level, you went a different route versus whether or not you beat it a particular way. So maybe that's how it's gonna be in Star Fox Zero too.
yeah.
So I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, Star Fox is just that's automatically a buy for a lot of people.
Right.
Um, I'm surprised they didn't show that game Project Treasure, or is that what it's
They were
called?
supposed to show it at E3, I thought,
Yeah, they
but
didn't
they
show it at all.
didn't.
They didn't even show it in the Treehouse event.
Hmm.
So that was a surprise. But shouts outs to Fast Racing Neo.
Oh,
That's a AAA game.
that
It's
game
not
is
even an
gonna
indie game.
right. Like
That's
you,
AAA.
that's wow. Like wow. Shannon never disappoints. They
Yeah.
never disappoint. Like they keep, and it's like they're like a team of five people, and they keep pushing
Yep.
and pushing and pushing and pushing until something happens, and then we get amazing games like Fast Racing Neo.
We get a 60 frames per second online
Smooth.
and local multiplayer game that's gonna have like 16 maps. Maybe voice chat. I don't know. Probably
I'm not
not.
banking
But
on it. I mean, they're
yeah, I'm
still a
not banking
small
on it.
team.
But the fact that they even have multiplayer is good enough for me.
Yeah,
Like how you have multiplayer from an indie developer and not have it
in
in
Star
your main.
Fox.
I don't get it.
I don't
But
get it either.
I'm happy that, an indie developer was able to push the Wii U to its limits, and that's a dope looking game. So like
Yeah,
that game is, it's a testament to what the Wii U can run. So like
right.
it really does come down to, the developers need an incentive to actually put their games on the system. So, that just
True.
goes into, hopefully Nintendo does something better
Right.
next generation.
And that
But yeah, that
right.
game looks very nice.
And it also goes into how Shannon is so unapologetic. Like they just go in,
Yeah.
they just do the damn thing. Like they're just like, okay, well we gonna make this game happen. So, and then they make it happen. It's like they're like they have some kind of like magic or something. It's
I
crazy.
was like honestly, I was impressed like how much better it looked compared to the last one. Like I was looking at the other one the
Oh
other
yeah, and the
day.
Wii. Hmm.
Yeah, I was like, obviously the Wii isn't as powerful as the Wii U, but like they added a lot of like new features to the game that you didn't see in the last one.
Right.
So yeah, I love the way the ships look too. It's very Wipeout
I
esque,
love it.
but at the same time, it has it's different different aesthetic looks to it to kind of differentiate
Differentiate.
between the two.
Right. One of the things that I wish that Nintendo would have done revolving Fast Racing Neo is that they would have first talked about it in a digital event and then
Yes.
expressed that this is coming because it could have satiated the people out there wanting F Zero. Of course, this is not F Zero. We don't have our Captain Falcon,
Yeah,
but this is a damn good replacement, if you
it's
ask
pretty damn
me.
close.
It's pretty close.
Like
And
if you smack F-Zero title on it and you add what makes F-Zero iconic to this game,
yeah,
that's the game everyone wants.
right. It definitely is. And I know there was a rumor some time ago that Fast Racer Neo was going to become F Zero, and that didn't turn out to be the case. But yo,
I mean,
it's
I definitely think that if they make a future F-Zero game, they should give it to Shannon and just give them
hmm
more. They should give them more people to work on it and give them more money.
yeah. I don't know why Nintendo hasn't even taken them under their umbrella yet. Like they are capable of amazing things.
Yeah.
Like even last
Um.
generation with the Wii on Wii where they made Jet Rocket 2 and like there was like a memory limit that Nintendo had on WiiWare games from
Yeah.
indies and they managed to make amazing games. Even on Wii, where like Jet Rocket was like amazing. Like a lot of people was just like, that's one of the better like platformers on the WiiWare shop, and it's like so many like, you know, so much memory. Is like, it's crazy what they can do. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
It's just the fact that, you know, if Nintendo would let them just be free as they could be, and like just take them under the wing, but at the same time be like, you guys have just as much creativity and freedom as you did before, except we're just gonna give you the resources now. They could be even better. That's the best part about it. They could be even better than what they are now.
Imagine if they had the budget.
Yep.
Imagine. Like, they could do what they did with Monolith and, like, let them do their own thing. And just be like, okay, y'all are under us, but y'all have free reign. Because Monolith has free reign. Like, they can do whatever the hell they want to do. So
they work on so many things. Yeah.
That's crazy, yo.
But I mean, other than that, it was pretty...
I'm gonna let you say what you have to say, because I said what I had to say yesterday. But these are my accolades for the Nintendo Direct. So I don't think everything was bad. Everything wasn't bad, but
no, I mean, I think a lot of people, when they step back, you know, after being, you know, a little disappointed by it, you know, no one's saying that the games that they showed were terrible. It's just not what everyone wanted. So when you look at it from that front, you know, the conference was good. If no one was
if it wasn't E3
certain things, yes. If it wasn't E3, it was good. But like, this is, at the same time, this is the one time in the year where you do announce things. Now you could go and say, oh, well, that January 2013 Direct is where they announced Mario Kart 8 and Zelda and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, at E3 is where they actually really talked about it and showed it.
Right.
So, you know, that's not really, I guess, a good example of that. You know, people are very much out of their mind if they're saying you shouldn't expect stuff from Nintendo.
Right.
Because at E3, because everyone else did it, so why are they an exception?
Right.
Everybody else expected everything from every other company, and they came with it, but they didn't. So
to me,
it really just comes down to the fanboys.
Yeah.
That's really it.
To me, that's just trying to explain away a bad situation. Just accept that it's a bad situation and move on. Like, that's all it is to it.
Yeah, I think the other half of it is just people just have to move on from it, because especially if you're a console gamer, you do have you know, other things to look forward to, but at the same time, you still have that right to be, you know, upset at what they didn't show, and you have a right to be, you know, skeptical about the future, and you have a right to be, you know, very protective and very safeguarded when it comes to looking forward to what Nintendo has in the future. So, you know, hopefully NX is, you know, even if it's just a handheld, like, I wouldn't even care. Like, if it's a new handheld, you know, they need to make that next step into that too. Even if it's just like, you know, this is a handheld, but this handheld is able to do this in the future when the next home console comes out. That'll be, you know, a step in the right direction, definitely.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like the new 3DS is like the ultimate version of the 3DS. I wouldn't if they don't show a new handheld next year and it's actually a console, I wouldn't be mad, because the 3DS, I feel like it still has a lot of life left in it, I think. Yeah. To be honest, I don't think
it's because, like, when it comes to handhelds, you're not really looking for power.
Right.
You're just looking for new ideas, and like the handheld system is like, handheld consoles are really where you see, like, you know, people's imagination, you know, run and really come out, because unlike home consoles, it's really not, you know, relying too much on power and whatnot.
Right.
And I guess that was the thing about the Vita. People didn't really want to play those type of games on the go. They were like, I'd rather play this on my PlayStation. But I mean, I feel like, you know, if it is a handheld, they do have a lot to, you know, go off of. Like, they really did sort of, you know, kind of prolong the whole 3D craze that, you know, they really announced the 3DS on when they did.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe the next system could be like some VR type stuff. You never know.
You never know, man. But all I know is that if it's not a handheld, I won't be disappointed, because the new 3DS has like a little bit more power than a regular 3DS, and it has so much untapped potential, and it supports Unity. Like that leaves
Yeah.
so many opportunities that we didn't see previously on the original 3DS. So
I honestly do think people do want a new, new handheld system.
mhm.
Like the main thing about the 3DS is the 3D. And I think just the DS line in general, people are kind of like, they're ready to see what they're able to do. Because really, the 3DS, all it really is just like, 3D added on top of the dual screen.
Right.
So, if they're able to make, a whole nother line of games, a game system not related to DS is like, I think really people are looking forward to that. They just really want to see what Nintendo else, like what else they have up their sleeve for
Right.
handhelds.
Yeah. I mean, I could see how some people would feel like that. I'm personally not ready because I am enjoying the hell out of my new 3DS. But I mean, it's
Yeah, I
always
mean,
interesting to speculate and talk about upcoming and new hardware. So
mhm.
we'll see.
Yeah, I guess that's it for Nintendo then.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. All right. So
Um,
what were you gonna
what do we
say?
have next? Square
Square
Enix?
Enix. I know that's right up your alley. I'm gonna let you take that.
Yes, yes. Like I was saying before, my whole, my channel, Crystallis Kingdom, is, dedicated to, that type of stuff. Not just because, those games are coming around the corner and everything, but like I honestly do just enjoy like, giving my take and updating people on, those games because a lot of people don't even know, the development and the progress going on with, Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. So like the fact that they showed Kingdom Hearts 3 at E3 was a surprise because they already confirmed that it would be at the D23 trailer,
Mm,
not the trailer, the event they're holding this year. They confirmed that that game was going to be there. So like I think the best thing we got out of it was the fact that they are, if they had this to show at E3, which they didn't even confirm they were going to be there, what they're going to show at D23 is going to be so much more than what we, were expecting before.
right.
Because like what they showed at E3 this year was something close to what I was expecting at D23, but just based off of what they showed, like I'm so happy that we're getting a current gen Kingdom Hearts game on the PS4 and Xbox One because
People have been waiting and waiting and waiting.
it's like it's literally what everybody it's literally what like Pixar and like Disney fanatics want in a game. Like they like everybody liked Kingdom Hearts just because of the incorporation of Disney into the gameplay and the worlds and everything. But like now you're starting to get that type of like quality in the cinematics. Like you're getting Pixar type cutscenes now,
hmm
and you're getting like Pixar type environments and everything. And like I don't know, I'm just so glad that they. That's all I really have to say about it. Like you could go around and really find all the information on the game. That's
Right.
not really that much, but they did. They just showed it, and that's really all people wanted. They really just wanted to show the gameplay. They really did make a lot of progress from showing it 2 years ago.
hmm
So yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say on it. I already
Right.
made a reaction video, and that did pretty damn good. That's just showing, people's excitement for the game.
Speaking of
So
Pixar, one
yeah,
thing that I forgot to talk about at for Sony's portion was Ratchet and Clank. That game looks
oh
like a
yeah,
freaking movie.
yeah,
Crazy.
that is like people. Yeah, people were saying like even last year that the movie is Pixar quality. So like, and I'm glad the game isn't just like one of those movie games because it is a game based on the movie that's based off the game. So
Right.
like because
Duh.
it has that because it has that that connectivity, it was guaranteed to be a good game. So I think it's
It's
just the fact
of
that it's on
course.
PS4 that makes it look so good.
Like, and Ratchet and Clank is one of my favorite Sony exclusives. So that reboot, like, I'm gonna get that like day one, hands down.
Yep.
Like, it's not even
And
a
it's probably gonna be
question.
like $40 too.
Probably, it might.
Yeah,
That's even better, shoe.
exactly.
The only thing that kind of bummed me out is that it's 30 frames, and it's like that game is too actiony to be 30 frames, but I can get over it.
Yeah.
It's gonna
I
be fun.
mean, yeah. I think that game will be fine. The 30 people will get over the 30 frames just because of how much new stuff they're adding to the game. And I think they were looking at, the fact that people were like, we've seen Ratchet and Clank over and over again, but we never really seen Ratchet and Clank at like full 1080p and having all the textures look all nice and all that stuff. So, I think they really focused on that. If they make a sequel to it, they'll probably improve on the frame rate, but I think people are totally fine with what it is now.
As long as that 30 frames is locked, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be locked. Yeah, that game will be fine. People are already looking forward to it.
Right.
But I mean, everything else that came out of Square Enix's conference was like, I mean, really, to be honest, after I saw Kingdom Hearts 3, I didn't really care about anything else. So
I'm surprised they didn't talk more about Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, they already confirmed like a month before E3 that maybe not a month, like maybe a couple of weeks before E3 happened that they wouldn't be showing it just because when they talked to the people who run E3 and all that stuff, they were basically like, if you guys don't have anything that's like, absolutely new that you're working on at the moment, we don't want to see it at all. And it was like, okay, excuse me.
Oh, man.
So they were like, we had some stuff that we were going to show that was pretty new that no one ever saw before. But they basically confirmed that they're going to show a whole bunch of stuff at Gamescom. And basically E3 was like, yeah, they were like, if we don't basically get where you're going to show at Gamescom, then we don't want to see it at all. So they were just like, F it, we're just going to make Gamescom the big, like, re-reveal for this game and everything that's coming with it. So
I keep forgetting about Gamescom.
Yeah, it goes back to Sony, Microsoft too. There's a lot of stuff that they didn't show at E3 because they're saving it for Gamescom.
They're trying to improve their brand overseas for sure. So I know they're gonna make it to Gamescom.
Yeah, it's definitely good that a lot of companies are saving stuff for Gamescom because that's like 2 events every year that we look forward to.
I know.
Like really big events. But yeah, I mean, other than Kingdom Hearts, they re-showed the Final Fantasy VII trailer. And they basically confirmed that winter is when we're gonna see a lot more stuff about the game in general.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they didn't want to overexpose us too at E3.
Yeah. I think Tetsuya Nomura, like the creator of Kingdom Hearts and like the character designer for like Final Fantasy and all that stuff, he was basically just saying like that was literally just a reveal to see what people's reaction would be, and like. He was like, at the moment when he was, showing it off, he really did not, expect to see the reaction that everybody got from it. And like, he was like, before he was going to bed that night, he was getting text messages from everybody, basically like, congratulations. He was like, maybe I actually did do something big. And I was like, that dude is based. Like, he don't know what he just did. But yeah, I mean, they said winter is when we're going to get more stuff. I'm interested to see, what actually World of Final Fantasy is, just because, it's based on all the stuff. I'm not really looking for it, but, I just want to see what it's about. I mean, stuff that wasn't Final Fantasy and stuff was like Just Cause 3. Like, I'm not really, a big
Hitman
person. Yeah, Hitman too. A lot of people actually looking forward to that game too, just because I think that's another game where they're going back to the roots of Hitman.
Because it has no subtitle.
Yeah, they're going back to the roots of what Hitman used to be, but improving on the standards of gaming now.
Yeah. What is up with everybody doing it though these days? You notice that? What's up with all the reboots and the reimaginings? Like, are people just trying to like refresh like their IPs? I think it's just because they're listening to fans. A lot of fans are like, can you just reboot this game and go back to the basics of what like made it good? And they're basically like, yeah, I guess we'll do that. But we're also going to give you stuff that, defines this age of gaming, which is like multiplayer and good graphics and all that stuff. So, I mean, people are asking for it, so they're going to give it to them. I guess that's good. Yeah.
So yeah, Hitman, Just Cause 3, a lot of those games I really weren't into, so I can't really give an opinion on it. I do want to say that Deus Ex Human Revolution does look really nice. I did play the last one, and I enjoyed it. So this new one coming out with all the new stuff they're adding to it definitely looks interesting.
Right.
I'm not like sold on it, but I'm definitely looking out for it. So yeah, I guess that was about it for Square Enix.
Yeah. And the last thing that was shown as far as conferences for E3 was the PC gaming showcase, but unfortunately I missed that one. I didn't
Yeah, I
get a
missed it
chance to
too.
see that, but I did hear that a couple of games that were pretty much already shown and everything else was shown there. But it's really interesting. Like it kind of, I guess it just kind of, I guess it just kind of shows that PC gaming is really not as irrelevant as people want to believe it is. Like people are actually
Yeah.
starting to get more and more into like the PC side of
Hmm.
gaming for it to have its own show. But one thing that did
Yeah.
stand out to me, something that people were talking about on Facebook and Twitter, was that Killer Instinct is going to be coming to PC, which is kind of a blow to Microsoft because
Yeah.
Microsoft is bringing all of their IPs to PC. Well, not all of them, but the nice looking ones are coming
Yeah, like I mean, Gears of War is coming to PC, so
as
like,
well. Yeah,
who's to say that they might not even port Gears 4 over to it?
I hope not. They better not if they know what's good for them. They better keep those big core ones like Halo and Gears, keep them on the console because at this point you ain't got Call of Duty no more. So at this point you got to
Yeah.
give people a reason to get your console.
One thing that I forgot to mention about Microsoft was that damn HoloLens. Oh my goodness,
That was dope.
that was dope. Like as of right now, like I can't really speak on Morpheus just because you have to be there to actually try it out.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were able to demonstrate what HoloLens is about, like that made me want to actually play Minecraft. Like
Yeah.
I've played Minecraft for like maybe an hour, just wasn't my thing. But like if I played it with HoloLens, I would play that for like a long time, no matter how stupid I look playing with it, like actually moving stuff around that's not there. Like that HoloLens looks dope. And like they were saying how they demonstrated it with Halo 5. They
Yeah.
were saying that there was like a booth where you put the HoloLens on and you basically have like the HUD in front of you, like you actually have the helmet on
That's
and everything.
crazy.
So like yeah, they were saying that that was one of the best things going around actually trying out too. So
Yeah.
shout outs to HoloLens because that's actually, that's different than, the VR,
Yeah.
but it's still making, a big enough
Differentiating
impact on
itself.
people to actually want to try it out.
Because I remember when they first showed it, because you remember Microsoft had that little showcase thing sometime ago, was just about all Microsoft things.
Yeah.
And they first showed HoloLens, and I was like, this is the future. Like, we are living in the future right now.
The
It's
only thing that
crazy.
would make it better is if it was just like slimmer and like you could walk around with it.
Yeah.
Basically like Google Glass.
Yeah, man, but I have to say, E3 like, if you didn't see nothing you saw from E3 2015, you might not like video games.
Exactly. There was
It's-
something for everybody this year.
This was easily one of the best E3s for everybody in a long time. Like, E3 2015 was wow. Like, I can't even wrap my mind around it. It was awesome.
I think the best thing about it was that it wasn't just one company who brought it. It was like a whole bunch of people who were just like,
Right.
We're gonna show you some stuff you're gonna like."
Yes, it was just wow. I'm in awe. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up because we're nearing towards an hour and 20 minutes. Jeez. So, is
What
there
the
any?
hell?
Yeah, we've been talking for a while, man. This has been a really good discussion because E3 was good. I've been waiting to talk about E3.
Yep.
So, is there anything that you want to talk about? Any last notes before we get out of here?
Nothing really. Just thank you for having me on the channel again. Again, if you guys are, if you guys are interested in the topics, that my channel is about, if you're a fan of Square Enix in general, just go over there and check it out. And again, thank you for having me on the channel again.
No problem, man. Thanks to all of you guys who are watching this out there. And shout out to all of you guys who made it to the end because this is a very long discussion. But I will have video markers. I try to put video markers in my description for my long discussion type videos.
Play it on the way to work. Just say
Yeah.
that, play it on the way to work.
Play it during work when you're like typing up like paperwork and stuff. That's what I do when I'm at work. It helps pass the time. But tell me what
Yep.
you guys felt about E3 2015 in the comments. Like, what are you eager to see? What were your highlights from E3? I mean, this was a big one. Like there was something for everybody. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully, I'll have Darius on for another time. Maybe around Gamescom. If Gamescom is good, we might have to do another
Oh
one of
yeah,
these.
definitely.
Yeah.
You're gonna need me for that Final Fantasy 15 because
Oh,
I got a
yeah.
lot to say. Yup.
Yeah, you gonna be wildin' out. I already know. Alright, man. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Thanks you guys for watching. Talk to you later. Peace. If you're interested in joining my raid call and playing games with myself and other gamers, please follow the link for instructions.
Oh goddamn sense. Like I said, man, like there's nothing wrong with those smaller projects and like distractor games, but like even with those, I mean I don't know if this